Hello, my name is Eric Moore. I am in the enterprise architecture group at a company called NuSkin Enterprises. And I'd like to show you a little presentation today about some efforts that we've made internally to make things easier for our developers and for our integrations with our partners. This presentation is called One Stop Shop Developer Portal. As many of you guys probably know, developer portals are kind of all the rage these days with companies that are trying to start digital platforms. So going right into this, NuSkin's problem statement is that we're a global company that has a lot of different developer studios all over the globe. We're in China and Korea and EMEA and the Philippines and here in the US. And we have a lot of different developers that come and try to do work on our platform and in our digital ecosystems. And I've been at NuSkin for many, many years. And what usually happens is they come to me with questions about our API documentation, questions about which of our SDKs they should use. And as of late, since we've been pushing an event-driven architecture, they also have questions about what events are available to them. And so I've got a few use cases for you that we regularly see, and hopefully some of these will resonate with you. And it'll also make sense why we're trying to do what we're doing. So you can meet Greg here. He's a member of a contractor team that's been hired by the NuSkin platform to develop some new functionality. And when Greg's starting his gig, he's going to flounder around for about 2 to 3 weeks, talking to various developers about where to find documentation, which APIs to call, which SDKs to use, what security policies he should follow, and so on. And our documentation today is mostly in Confluence. We do produce API documentation using the Open API spec, and we load that into an S3 bucket where we consume it inside of a very simple developer portal. And we've built a few more documentation sites over the years, but nothing's really satisfied us so far. And that makes things slow and costly for our onboarding efforts. So what we would like to see in the future, of course, like a lot of other companies, is to have something like a developers.nuskin.com that will guide our consultants and our internal developers in really the standard best practices, put some API governance, event governance, and in generally lead people into the pit of success. And you know, we're not the first people to think of this. There's a lot of other companies out there that have done this. And so we are in addition to having affiliate marketing, we're also a direct marketing platform, and that is very open. People can do their work in lots of different ways, given some guardrails. But our technological platform has been very closed. As an example of something that goes the other way, if you compare us to some company like Shopify, about 60% of their functionality is provided by the people participating in their platform. And that's where we want to be, is in the platform business. And so right now, all of our applications are pretty much developed by in-house programmers. So this is what we have built a couple of times here. And I'd like to show you how we are enhancing it once we acquired a partnership with the Solace Event Broker. So again, our use cases are these 3 personas here. Our internal developers and consultants are using our documentation today, but in the future, and this is a use case that happens all the time, is that we have partner companies that we develop new integrations with in tandem. That's been happening more and more in the last few years. And then finally, we want to take these thousands of distributors and affiliates that we have, and we want to empower them to use our platform. After we realized we wanted to do this, we started as an enterprise architecture group doing a lot of research and seeing what was out there. And there's a lot of companies out there that produce developer portals, and most of them are API gateway companies. For example, we spoke to all of these folks here. We spoke to the Apogee guys, and they have a developer portal, and it integrates with their API gateway, but it uses Drupal as a backing CMS if you wanted to do customizations on the developer portal. We spoke with the guys that produce the Kong gateway, and their stuff, again, just integrates with their API gateway. And they don't have any integration with a content management system. You pretty much use an admin tool to put new content on that developer portal. We used to use the MuleSoft API gateway. We spoke with them. And as this portion here says, surprise, surprise, their content management system is provided by Salesforce, and you have to buy an extra license to use that content management system if you want to use their developer portal. The same thing goes for SAP. They're doing it. There's a company out there that we spoke with called Redocly, which is very interesting. They, some of you may be aware of Redoc as an SDK that you can transform open API documentation into really nice looking HTML. And for the last 5 years, they've been producing a developer portal. It took them 5 years, a bunch of seeder money, and about 20 developers constantly working on this. Another one that you should really be aware of is something called Backstage. We've looked at them. And this is one of the most interesting ones because they built a specific product that is extensible with plugins and extensions that you can turn into a developer portal. But once we took a closer look, we found that the use case for it is really more of an internal use case. And there's a product out there called Docusaurus as well that some of you guys might be aware of. But all of these developer portals don't quite fit what we wanted. And I think most companies are in this boat. We have different IDPs. We use Okta and Azure AD. We have actually today 3 different API gateways, and we're going down to 2, just Kong and AWS Gateway. None of these portals support event discovery. I would say except for the Solace developer portal. But then I will say the Solace developer portal doesn't support discovery of APIs and SDKs and UX components, which is something else that we wanted out of this. So going forward, let me give you another use case here. So this is Sally. She's one of our affiliates, and she has a really successful YouTube channel where she speaks about the NuSkin products. And she loves this particular product that we offer, and she wants to display a teaser link at the end of her videos. And she knows a little bit of programming, and so she wants to display the price and the inventory levels and give us an add to cart button so she can integrate with our systems. And so her use case is that she would visit our developer portal and that she will see these different sections in here. And again, you can see already that this developer portal here has about 4 or 5 things that most developer portals that you see don't have. In addition to seeing your APIs, you can see SDKs, you can see UI component libraries, React and Vue components, how-to guides, and the most important one for our discussion, events. And so she wants to call our product API so that she can display the price and image and of this product. And so she registers for an API key. And then she would see a screen that looks like this, where she chooses the type of registration that she will do. With her new API key, she can do all of these things. She can call our APIs, she can download and configure an SDK, and she can then also see what events can be published and subscribed to. In addition to that, she can visit a webhook admin panel and register her APIs to be notified when events happen in our system. And of course, then she can browse through the documentation of the various portions of this developer portal. And finally, these how-tos here will be backed by a content management system that people inside of NuSkin can regularly update, like blogs, how-to guides, and other things like that. And NuSkin, because she's registered with this developer portal, we can monitor her API use, bill her API use and event use, and turn off her API and event use. Just a couple of quick notes is in our developer portal, we also have UI components. We've done this for several years now. We use something called Storybook to embed all of the UI components that we produce internally so that we can get reuse. So anybody can use these things to build new applications. You can see in here that we have a lot of these guys. These are written in React and in Vue. For example, here's a product component. And if you just drop this on a page, it'll display the pricing and give you an add to cart button and so on. In addition to that, we have non-UI SDKs. And we also want to give people access to download these SDKs. And these things, both the UI components and the public SDKs, need API keys or SDK keys so that we can control the use of these SDKs. And we currently have about 142 packages that start with the @NuSkin workspace inside of NPM. And we make a lot of different SDKs available publicly for people to use. All right, then finally getting more into eventing. One thing we haven't had in our developer portal so far is this idea of event discovery and access control around who can see and use, publish, and subscribe what events. And once we were doing research as an enterprise architecture group in what our new event broker should be, we realized very quickly that Solace really supports this use case. You have three really cool things inside of Solace. This idea of an event catalog API, which we are using to call from our developer portal. You have some really great ACL configuration about who can subscribe to and publish certain events, the ACL control around your topics. And then you have this fantastic SEMP API, which can be used to control, for example, the creation of REST delivery endpoints, which we also think is pretty cool. So a little bit more about NuSkin. At NuSkin, we use domain-driven design in conjunction with the concept of a data mesh. That means that we have lots of different domain teams and platform teams that revolve around these central services of an observability platform, an analytics engine, and yes, the Solace event broker. And every one of these teams can publish events and data, and they can pull in and subscribe events and data from each other in this concept called an event mesh. Additionally, each team is expected to produce these 6 artifacts: APIs, applications, SDKs, UI widgets, and domain events. And once they're done with these, they're expected to push documentation out for these artifacts into the developer portal. And again, it allows them to self-serve and discover each other's services. And this is something that we really need because our teams are so distributed over multiple time zones and geographies all over the world. Going a little bit further so that you can see our setup, Over here on the left, you have developers, and developers will check in new code for new applications and APIs. And all of this stuff gets crunched through our CI/CD process. And something that we've added is that all of the events and schemas that are declared through the domain-driven design process get uploaded into the Solace Event Broker. All of the application metadata also gets pushed up through the event broker. And anytime an application is deployed or redeployed, these events are also pushed in through here. On the right-hand side, you can see that we have a set of operational microservices that subscribes to these events, whether an application is deployed or an application is registered, which then filters into notification events and other things we can observe. Down here, you can see that developers can browse our developer portal and look through the APIs in our API gateway. The other people in our organization that are very interested in what gets published out to Solace is our data org, which uses a tool called Calibra, which pulls in metadata that gets consumed from the APIs and the events. And of course, the interested parties in all of this stuff are our digital org, which are our product owners. Our CTO, of course, takes a look at this, but then security, our privacy office, our data organization, and yes, architecture. They are all very interested in the information here, and yes, here as well. So one thing that we've done is in our CI/CD process, we wrote a little a library called the Solace synchronization. And this gets processed in any CI/CD process where people fill out information in YAML files, and this thing parses them and then pushes them up to Solace in the pipeline process. All of our pipelines are standardized so that anyone that creates an application or an API or a new event, it runs through this pipeline and then uploads it into our systems. This is an image of what we're working on right now and what we're talking about. And this developer portal then interacts with our platform APIs, our commerce APIs, and our other APIs that are domain-based. We have a lot of partner companies that come and talk to us. For example, here's a couple. We partner with a company called Penny AI and a company called Acceleration. And the idea here is that the partner comes to the developer portal, registers in our Okta IDP, and then they can request rights to see certain events. And of course, this will go through our SRE and security office, which then automatically can use the SIMP APIs to grant rights to a particular partner. What they can then do is they visit a webhook panel where they can register a webhook, which then registers these REST data endpoints in Solace, which then come back out through this API in here and calls their APIs whenever an event occurs. And of course, the other thing they can do with their access is do direct event subscriptions to any events they have access to. And we found that in working with our partners, it's just as important to have good documentation around events, just like it is when they ask us for our API access. And we spend quite a bit of time talking to them, sending them documentation. And this is why we're pushing all of our events into Solace right now, and we're giving them access. But in the future, when we complete the exposition of these events in our developer portal, we will have an outside view to our events. Here's another use case for you. So you can meet Dora here. She's an external developer at one of these partner companies, and she wants to receive an API call whenever a new signup happened in our system. There's a regular use case where people say, I want to know when an order is created or an API or a signup happened. And so she's registered with the developer portal and she visits our webhook panel. And there she can choose to subscribe to events and send them to her API. You can see here what she fills out, and here's this sign up occurred event that she can register for. And once she registers it, API calls will start flowing to her API of choice. Having this is really important to us because it allows for the extensibility of our platform without having to talk to people. Or have very long meetings discussing what the integration should look like. We also are doing a lot of things around APIs and eventing because we think that they complement each other. There's another use case where you meet Carl. We have a lot of AWS consultants in the last 3-4 years that do work for us because we are out on AWS. And let's say that he's being asked to build a new My Discounts dashboard. And that means that he needs access to our product and our discount APIs. Well, the first thing he does is he registers his application on the developer portal and starts discovering API calls. You can see here that when his application makes some calls, they call through our API gateway. They call through something called a GraphQL federation layer. And now he can start getting user information and the available discounts for this particular user. That call splits these calls between 2 API calls on the back end, along with a whole bunch of other ones at the API layer. And then he gets back his customized response. And the other thing that our developer portal has that we're adding is a GraphQL playground where all of these different APIs are discoverable. And as you'll see in a second, it's very important to us that these APIs can not only be queried and mutated, but that they can also be subscribed to. So let me go through here really quickly and show you the rest of the setup. Behind these APIs, we have the Solace event broker. And you can see that these backend systems subscribe to and publish events. Whenever our commerce engine or our ERP publishes a new event, our microservice captures this. And now he's been asked to make it a real-time event. Well, this is why we use GraphQL subscriptions on all of these APIs so that when the Solace event broker gives us a new event, that he can now subscribe to these changes in real time rather than having to use something like long polling or server sent events. We decided on GraphQL because it gives us a nice schema and you know exactly what you're getting back in the real-time call. So I've shown you a little bit about our developer portal, what we've started and what some of our future plans are. The other things we're going to do in the future here, in addition to a developer portal, is add a platform portal and a B2B portal. I can tell you guys about that another time and see what role Solace would play. But we've really found that the Solace event broker has facilitated this, this building of a bespoke developer portal. It's got all the right APIs and all of the right functionality for us to do that. Thank you.